another worrying news that's coming in. A 599-acre forest land, felling of hundreds of trees, and shooting of a star power movie is the latest cinematic plot to the huge political furore in Karnataka. Karnataka Forest Minister Eshwar Khandre conducted a spot inspection of the site where the shooting of Yash starrer Toxic was held and has claimed felling of hundreds of trees to facilitate the shooting of the movie, and has directed strict disciplinary action against officials involved in permitting the felling of trees on forest land for the filming of the Kannada movie Toxic. The movie was being shot on a set erected within a forested area in Pina, Bengaluru. The land, a forest area, was transferred to HMT in the 1960s with a denotification. In fact, without a denotification, citing a Supreme Court ruling that once a forest, always a forest, unless denotified. Khandre emphasized that the area remains protected under forest law despite its current use by HMT. So what does this really mean? I'm being joined at this point by Sartabish S, who's a spokesperson for Congress, Joseph Hoover, who's an environmentalist, should be joining us shortly. I'm also being joined by Saurabhi Hodigere, who's a spokesperson for Karnataka BJP. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, let me just come at this point to you, Ms. Saurabhi. What do you respond? Hundreds of trees being felled, property that is supposed to be forest area, with HMT as of now, being sub-rented, being leased out, being sold in parts, strong allegations.
Serious allegations, given that Bengaluru's, garden city, as we once called it, is depleting slowly. The concern here is that the Congress government seems to wake up very late when there is any issue at all. Where suddenly did they, decide that, okay, this is something that we have to deal with, given that it was illegally denotified in 1960s and the movie production started somewhere in 2023 of December. So where did this sudden consciousness sort of awaken? It's too late to the game. The minister is culpable because it's the authorities under him that have really kind of given this permission to, if at all the trees were cut. The second thing I think is that, Karnataka government is not making enough effort to work with the film industry to understand and provide the sort of facilities that are required. This is not good for our artists. This is not good for our industry. Our, grudge over here is against the Karnataka government for one, waking up too late, and two, not working with the film industry. Similarly, how in Bangalore, they don't work with industry from any sector.
No, fair enough. For what you're asking is also a question definitely that the Congress will have to respond. But what would you say to a PSU that has been given this land, obviously for the use of HMT, and is being subleased out, is being sub-rented out? Trees are being felled for a forested area. No response to that. However late the action is, certainly questionable, and that we will question. But what about that?
No, I started my comment with the fact that, Bengaluru has a depleting tree cover, and any sort of action, whether it is felling of trees to build the Ejipura flyover in Kormangla that has never been built, felling of trees in a land which is a forested area, all of these are very serious concerns. Our, input to the situation is that this could have been handled better and should have been handled better much, much before.
Would the centre take note of it and take action as well in this particular case?
Sorry, I didn't hear your question. Was that directed to me?
Would the centre take note of this? Will the centre act as well? Would there be a crackdown?
Absolutely. That's something that, given that, forestry is something that does come under, we will definitely take account of it. But there needs to be some clarity on what's going on. I believe that the concerned parties are putting forth their claims, and post that there will be action.
Okay, I'll get back to you because you're alleging that the Congress government has woken up late, but the centre has also been caught off guard in this. But Mr. Sartabish, if I can come to you, is this a politics of convenience? Is it just waking up when it suits you and to just continue doing one's business when it doesn't suit your politics and your politics of convenience.
No, not at all. These are just mere speculation and allegation by the political opposition. First and foremost, what we must all acknowledge as citizens of this country is the broader picture and not dilute the issue to a movie, an actor, or blame game politics for the purpose of sensationalization. It is purely tragic that hundreds and hundreds of trees in the heart of the city of Bengaluru have been mercilessly felled for unlawful gain. Bengaluru has lost today massive lung space, and it is deplorable, it is condemnable, and it is shameful. As a grieving citizen, I fail to understand how I fail to understand how this matter is being politicized by the opposition parties. Whereas, on the contrary, we must all come together, both state and center. We must fight in unison and ensure that the perpetrators of the crime are brought to the books and are brought to justice, irrespective of whether it is the actor, whether it is a cinema house, whether it is a PSU, or even for that matter, the government and its officials, especially when the point or the position of law is settled by the Supreme Court of India and all the other high courts, that protection of environment is more important than protecting civil rights. Now, if I may delve into the merits of the matter for just a moment.
Let me just ask you this question, and this is not very long back. This is just, say, 2 months back, 3 months back, where 2,000 residents lodged a protest. They wrote letters after letters against the proposed cutting down of 33,000 trees.
Yes.
To facilitate the Bengaluru suburban railway project. What happened with that?
No, certain times the government takes action for the purpose of development, for the purpose of infrastructure and whatnot. If I may delve into the merits of this particular issue at hand, what happened is we have to question the title, ownership, and classification of the lands in questions. And there seem to be two conflicting insinuations. One, that the HMT claims it to be private land. Secondly, that the state government is classifying it to be as reserved forest area. And on perusal of records which are available on the public domain...
you started with saying, let's look at the broader picture. Yeah. There is no doubt that the allegations of trees being felled at HMT are very serious.
It's very serious.
Both the state and the centre have to take very strong actions. There's no doubt about that. But my question is this a politics of convenience?
No, I don't
that there is a star involved, there's HMT involved, go down very heavily, say what's happened, get the satellite imagery and say there's trees being felled, but what happens in the rest of the cases? Is such a hard line taken in other cases also? If yes, well and good. But please tell us that such hard lines are taken in other cases as well.
Such hard lines must be taken in all cases. Now, in this particular case, HMT has allowed or given permission for felling of hundreds and hundreds of trees. This is a land that is classified or notified and demarcated as reserved forest area. Such forest land cannot be sold, cannot be granted, cannot be acquired, gifted, or transferred in any way or fashion. And the Supreme Court has held that once a forest, always a forest. And for the HMT now to claim ownership over the property and sublet it, subrent it for various other purposes, including cinema, is condemnable. And moreover, they have gone and extended their limb and they've felled off thousands of trees. This is a matter that requires investigation. And I think the current government of Karnataka has taken more than enough steps.
It requires investigation. In fact, I do hope we'll have Mr. Joseph Hoover very quickly. I believe his line has been disconnected. Let's just, if my team could try and connect with him. But let me just come to you at this point, Ms. Saurabhi. You've heard Mr. Sartabish speak, but my question really is, now you have said, what was the state government doing till now? The question is also, what was the centre doing right till now? Again, the same question that I asked him. At a time when loss of forest cover is not only an issue with... Okay, I'm being told that Mr. Joseph joins us. So allow me to just very quickly go to him. Mr. Joseph Hoover, I was talking to both of our panelists, one representing the BJP, one representing the Congress. There's back and forth of political blame game that's very much expected. But Mr. Joseph Hoover, could you put this in context for us? When you hear of hundreds and hundreds of forest cover trees being felled, as is alleged in an area that is under HMT as of now, just how serious is this? And how severe is really this whole challenge of dealing with felling of trees, forest cover in Bengaluru for that matter? I'm talking particularly about Bengaluru.
See, there's a report saying that we have lost almost about 88% of our tree cover for the last 4 decades. When we are in such a scenario, and more importantly, when we are in a climate crisis, extreme climate events are hammering us. And Bangalore's climate temperature went up to about 41.8 degrees during the summer. There was no water to drink. And then now we have had excess rains, and we're all struggling with the battering from the heavens. When at a time like this, it is nothing but the work of eco-terrorists. This is an act of eco-terrorism in destroying so many trees. We cannot be pardoned. The political parties might be throwing punches at each other. Whether they are potato party or tomato party doesn't matter. But here the question of losing hundreds of trees. So I condemn this. And whoever did this, they lack common sense. They should be immediately arrested. They should be termed as eco-terrorists in all our channels. They should be named and shamed. So until that is done, this will continue because that area is a forest land that is not denotified as yet. As our forest minister has rightly
That's
said,
right.
a forest is a forest until it is denotified. It is similarly, it was with a lake. A lake is a lake always as per the Supreme Court orders. And if people are going to be saying that there is no support for our film industry and some BJP is saying, no, that is the responsibility of the forest minister and the Congress is saying this is that doesn't hold water anymore. Here we are in a crisis.
Okay.
There was no right for anybody to even touch one tree, let alone hundreds of trees. So it's pathetic.
Okay.
We condemn
Okay,
this.
let me get in Miss Surabhi. Miss Surabhi, eco-terrorists. That's the word Mr. Hoover is using. Eco-terrorists. It's just a very direct question. I mean, it's a PSU. Not one thing will move. No decision will be taken or is supposed to be taken without the logheads, without the file. If the files were there, if the logheads were there, permissions had to be given.
Let me
Why
trace
this late
back to
accountability, and if at all there is any accountability at all?
The question on accountability is one that leads us back to August of 2024, where the National Green Tribunal actually sent notices to the Department of Environment and Forest here in Karnataka, saying that large-scale encroachment has happened, and there has been, questions of non-forestry activities taking place in forest land. This was when even this land in Pina was flagged, and the minister, there are several news reports that will tell you this, the minister here in Karnataka has also gone and inspected and seen everything that's been happening. Tell me, what is it that has happened since this, since this sort of notice has come into play? This was August of 2024. The question that we're raising is not to the activist on the panel, is not about whether Bengaluru's green cover needs absolute protection or not. So we are in agreement on that front. The BJP has been very vehemently protesting against the different climate-related atrocities that have been happening in our state, in Bengaluru, where the Congress government has woken up a little too late. We know that these are emerging areas. Pina is an industrial area. We know that these are areas that are susceptible to large damage due to climate change. And therefore, we are saying that these are things that needs to be worked on an urgent basis.
So, Ms. Surabhi, if the BJP is so passionate and so serious about the challenge to the green cover, how many hours will it take for the BJP to really move against a PSU that comes under it?
Ma'am, there are, as you would be very well aware, there are ways in which even PSUs are governed, where land is governed. This is a state of Karnataka issue that we are trying to highlight. This is a notice sent by the NGT to the forestry minister. The government has the option to take strict action, and that strict action has not been taken. Why did you wake up late and then release these sort of claims to the media when what you had to be doing was on ground and talking to the people who are both with HMT as well as the film industry?
Sartabish, so here's the thing. There is an ongoing controversy with HMT. There is an issue with the PSU and the state government that has been going on for a while now. So it's in between of that the Congress government has gone and made this announcement. This should have been well known before. So is it just, again, is it just a politics of convenience? Nobody is really bothered about the green cover. Everybody talks about the depleting green cover. But a row which already was escalating, was already at the political peripherals, it gets the highlight because the minister goes there, does an inspection, finds out that there were trees that were felled. What stopped him from doing this before?
No, I don't understand. If we take action, there is a problem. If we don't take action, there is a problem. What is the government expected to do? I don't seem to understand. Now, see, the fact of the matter and an undisputed fact is that hundreds and hundreds of trees were felled. Now, H.D. Kumaraswamy still claims that the land belongs to HMT. There's a dispute between the state government and the PSU, but if you just peruse the land records that are available on public domain, what would unmistakably emerge is that it is a reserved forest area, and this notification was done during the provincial state of Mysore. And such forest lands cannot be sold, granted, acquired, or transferred in any way or fashion. And sometimes what happens, the government hands over these lands or reserved forest area to certain organizations or corporations for a specific purpose. And these organizations must work in that narrow line. They cannot use it for any other purpose. They must only use it for forest developmental activities or for increasing plantation. They cannot use it for cinema. They cannot sell it to private agencies. Now the honorable minister, what has he done?
That's true what you're saying.
What has he done?
That's true what you're saying. So
he's received a complaint. He has conducted a spot inspection. He has intimated the BBMP. He's intimated the chief secretary to conduct a preliminary inquiry and give a report. Based on that report, he has also ensured that stringent action will be taken against the officials who permitted the felling and against those individuals who did the felling themselves. Now, I don't understand why the BJP or the JDS
Ms. Surabhi, very quickly, if you could respond, because I need to go to Mr. Hoover. Ms. Surabhi.
Action.
BJP is not politicizing. Did you not know that this land was being used for film production in December of 2023?
Madam, you please communicate to the Union Ministry to take immediate action immediately. What is the problem?
The callousness with which land is being transferred to different authorities here in Karnataka raises many questions. There is no good administration here in Karnataka, which is why we are seeing the sort of controversies that we are seeing today. Did you not know that this was
why you've been ousted and
was there not papers sent from the film
Please
production?
talk to your union minister and ask him to take action.
Team not sending you notices? So tell me something. I want to ask this question. One day the film production unit decided I'm going to do the, HMT is going to be the land where I'm going to, or whatever land that belongs to is where I'm going to do film production. And this didn't come to the notice of the state government? Did you not know in December of 2023? Why have you woken up today? I'll tell you the reason they've woken up today and why they're making such a big case of this. There are more than 1,200 ongoing cases of encroachment in that Bengaluru urban district. The reason they're waking up today is because they want to distract from the issue that is happening across the state and across the country, which is of land being illegally transferred to a certain board. That is the reason they're bringing this up. If you really cared about tree cover, tell me a little bit about Ejipura. I go in that road every single day. Do you know how many trees are being felled?
Sartabish, very quickly respond. You have a right to respond. I have to go to Mr. Hoover after that. 30 seconds, Sartabish.
No, see, it is apparent how BJP is trying to politicize the issue, how they're trying to sow seeds of disharmony and communalism in an issue that speaks about green cover. We're all concerned as citizens. I am a citizen of Bengaluru. We are taking affirmative action to take steps. What is the BJP doing? Okay, fine. Let me concede for a moment.
All right. Mr. Hoover, what do you make out of this political back and forth? And this political back and forth is not new. But unfortunately, the green cover for Bengaluru is lowest possibly ever for the last few decades. The political bickering has continued. The green cover has dropped. What do you make out of whatever you heard on this panel and what's been going on between the centre and the state?
I would want to correct the BJP spokesperson because I've been in the field for environment and forest conservation for donkey's years, roughly around 34 years. In all my years, I've seen the best minister today is Mr. Eshwar Khandre for forests. He's doing a damn good work. Irrespective of being Congress or BJP, I'm not bothered because I've dealt with all these guys. The point is, he's doing a fantastic work. And when that lady speaks about BJP being protective about the forests, I want to tell her, I want to correct her. It is in their regime that our forests have been denuded severely. Our Western
Is
Ghats
this a
have been
political rant
annihilated.
against BJP or an
Even now, they're
informed
annihilating it.
opinion of an activist?
And now, to sit up and say that they're doing a good job, I'm sorry. You've got to take back your words. I'm sorry about that.
Can I
But
ask you
here,
why
we're
this
not
is
worried
not?
about the BJP versus Congress. We are worried about
No,
our
Miss
trees. We are
Surabhi,
worried about our future.
You have said he's a political man and not an activist. Do you want to explain what you're saying? Because Joseph Hoover is an
say
environmental
political man.
activist. Do you want to explain what
Fortunate.
you're saying
It's
here?
unfortunate that the
And
discourse of this
I
debate is
don't.
this
Oh,
extent.
thank you, Sartabish.
Miss
That's all
Surabhi,
right.
I want to
I'm
know
very
what you
happy
just
to-
said right now. Maybe I heard it wrong. Do you want to clarify that, Miss Surabhi?
I said political rant. I didn't say political man. I said that
I'm
it's
a
fair that
political
any
man.
activist can
All
have
right.
their political
So you are
preferences and
saying it's a
opinions.
political rant and not what an activist would say. Is that what you're saying, Miss Surabhi?
I
Let's
don't
give
think
him
that's
due credit for his years of
Is it
service.
wrong? Is it wrong to say that that was a political rant? I don't believe so. So please, as an activist, sir, please tell me what is it that the state government should have done when this
I
film
don't understand.
said that they are going to be,
I don't understand who's curating the show at the moment.
Okay,
Satavish, it's okay. I understand that there's two Congress spokespersons
See,
here.
there is
Okay,
there is
Mr. Hoover,
there is
I think you have a
an
right to
active.
respond. Please, Mr.
Please
Hoover.
give him
Political
credit
point
for
Mr.
his
Hoover,
years
please,
of
you have a
service.
right to respond.
My
He's an
question is,
activist.
before
Please give him
handing
that
All right,
out,
hold it.
credit.
Please,
Little
everybody,
indulgence
allow
now.
Mr. Hoover to speak.
before handing
There's
out
an
certificates of
Miss Surabhi,
environment
Miss Surabhi,
protection,
Miss Surabhi, Miss Surabhi, and Mr. Sartabish, please allow Mr. Hoover to speak. Mr. Hoover, please go ahead.
Yeah, what we are concerned, we are not worried about the political bickering that is happening, whether it is Congress or the JDS or BJP or Tomato Potato Party. We are not worried. We are worried about our environment. We are worried about our future. Today, we are all suffering. And when somebody cuts down so many trees, it's our right to question them and call them eco-terrorists. And if somebody is going to turn around and say BJP is doing this, Congress is doing things, we are not worried. For us, everybody is the same. Potato or tomato party is the same. For us, our environment is important. The future generations, their future, what are we doing? We're already talking about tipping time in 2030. We're all going to go down the drain. And here we have somebody sitting there and making such statements without understanding what has happened in the past. If I were to make a statement, I would say that the current MPs who are in the Western Ghats, most of them are responsible for what is happening in the Western Ghats. Today, Bangalore is suffering, let alone the Bangalore trees. If there's no water in Bangalore, it is the responsibility of all these MPs and MLAs and the ministers. Today, to someone say that A or B is doing this is not correct. Please understand something before you speak. If you
All
call
right.
me I made a political rant, I have every right to make that. I'm a citizen of this country and I'm a proud citizen, a proud Indian. And I will make every statement against everybody. For me, the future generations, their thing I need to look after. I've enjoyed life. I want to give my best for the future. So I have fought battles, be it
All
the
right.
BJP,
30
be it the
seconds to
Congress,
Miss
I'm not
Surabhi
bothered.
and 30 seconds to Mr. Sartabish. Please respond to what Mr. Hoover is saying. And I have all reasons to believe it's not Mr. Hoover. It's every concerned citizen who's living in Bengaluru. Miss Surabhi.
I'm a Bengaluru citizen myself, born
I
and
think you'll have
raised
to
here.
unmute
So I have
yourself,
just
Miss Surabhi.
May I go ahead?
Yes,
Or-
please. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Yeah. Just, the activist on the panel brought up Western Ghats and, blamed fingers. Sir, I think that we're all equally liable to protect our future, especially those young people that are invested in it. I plan to live in this city and I'm very concerned about it. Just the reason we are calling this government and this minister absolutely somebody who wakes up too late and is incapable. Just in September 27th, there was a decision to make sure that the ecologically sensitive area in the state is reduced by nearly 20%. These are issues that we are also very severely concerned about. In this matter, what we are saying is that this government knew that the film production unit is going to start producing in this land, which is contested, in December of 2023. We are saying that they did not wake up soon enough. We are saying that the
I'm totally out of time.
Green
Mr. Sartabish, I won't be able to give you more than 30 seconds, please.
I don't need more than 30 seconds, and I don't think either me or the Congress party is going to lower our dignity in political bickering. But I would like to reaffirm to Mr. Joseph and all other activists, as citizens of Bengaluru and as responsible administrators, we will ensure that the perpetrators of crime who are responsible for felling hundreds of trees in HMT or in this 566 acres
These would
will be
same
brought to
work
justice,
everywhere in the state,
irrespective of
not only for high-profile
whether
cases.
there's a
Even
union
the ones
minister's
where your own
involvement,
ministers and
whether
MPAs are profiting from
please
the
Okay,
don't interrupt.
all
Whether
right.
there is
I
union
have to end this discussion here, but I just hope
will
one
ensure
thing:
that
between
justice is done.
all
Quick
of
for
this
all land.
political
Don't try to take a
bickering,
moral high ground, please.
people, governments will remember how Bengaluru is literally inundated under a deluge with a heavy spell of rain, a single heavy spell of rain every few months. That's a reality we leave everyone thinking of, even as the political parties, the centre and the states bicker with each other. There is a time for action. This is it. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us. Mr. Sartabish, Joseph Hoover, as well as Ms. Saurabhi, thank you very much.